Hey there, kombucha enthusiasts. Welcome back. Today we're diving into the wonderful world of homemade kombucha, but with a small twist that will elevate your kombucha game. Stick around to the end because we're exploring not 2, but 3 fermentations and crafting a kombucha that's more like a small batch soda than your typical store-bought variety. Okay, let's start with the basics. For this recipe, you will need some freshly brewed black or green tea, white sugar, a SCOBY, more on that later, a starter tea, and some fresh fruit or juice for flavoring. So the first part is to brew a strong tea. I'm using a combination of black, green, white, and oolong teas, and some of them being flavored like this tropical black tea for more complex flavor profile. I'll leave a list of the types of tea I'm using in the description below, but don't feel like you have to go out and buy a bunch of varieties. Plain black tea works very well. In fact, the SCOBY thrives on black tea because of the tannins. Just make sure you use a good quality, loose leaf varietal. I like to sweeten the water first and then add the tea. And also I do a cold brew overnight to really enhance the flavor, which also keeps the bitterness down. The tea and the sugar are the lifeblood for the SCOBY during fermentation. Strain the tea leaves out and then add the SCOBY. Okay, what is a SCOBY? It stands for Symbiotic Culture of Bacteria and Yeast. It's this weird, gross thing that grows in the tea essentially, but it's also what ferments the tea. Try not to be scared of it. It won't bite you. It is a little bit gross and slimy, but it's necessary. I already have a batch going, so once I remove the SCOBY, I'm going to start the second fermentation for this batch, which is adding the fruit. I like to use pineapple. It's a long story, but I find it works well with the flavored teas I use, and it's got a high sugar content. Plus I add a little bit more sugar too. Remember, SCOBYs and the bacteria now left behind in the kombucha love sugar. It's their food. Stick around to the end and I'll show you why we add a bit more sugar at this stage. Pour the kombucha into the second jar with the fruit. Cover and set aside in a dry, warm, dark place. And by warm, I just mean somewhere between 65 to 80 degrees. SCOBYs are pretty resilient, so it doesn't have to be perfect. If it's on the colder side, it will take longer to ferment, and vice versa if it's warmer. Then add the leftover to the new batch with the SCOBY. This isn't absolutely necessary, but it helps kickstart the fermentation process. Cover it with a breathable cloth and let it sit for the first fermentation. In the second fermentation, we're adding fruit or juice for flavor. This not only gives it a fantastic taste, but also boosts the beneficial bacteria. We'll strain out the pineapple, squeezing it to make sure to get any residual kombucha and extra fruit juice for the third and final fermentation. This is where the magic happens. Typically, you'd remove the SCOBY and then bottle the kombucha, which is considered the second fermentation. But we're taking it a step further. I'm going to bottle the kombucha after it's had the secondary fermentation with the fruit. Now, for the grand finale. We're going for the third and final fermentation. Seal the bottles tight and let them sit for a few days. This is when the carbonation builds up. And there you have it. 3 fermentations later, we've got a kombucha that's not only rich in probiotics, but bursting with flavor. It's more than just a drink. It's a craft. Alright, here's the exciting part. Open one of your bottles, listen to that satisfying hiss. Pour it into a glass and check out that fizz. It's like a small batch soda, but packed with probiotics. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more kombucha adventures, and let us know your favorite flavors in the comments below. Happy brewing!